So that finishes what we had on the 5 hindrances, and then I just want to summarize it for the day, and then next time we'll go in, the next 2 sessions we'll go into the 4 methods that are left, which are not that long. This is all kind of the content that's throwing us off, and then the methods are like, well, how do you get your mind back? And so it's not like necessarily the afflictions are different, but the method that you're going to apply to those afflictions are different, because maybe the one that we're working on now, like replacing an unwholesome thought with a wholesome thought, when that one doesn't work, what's next? And that's what the other methods are about. So just like in summary, when the Buddha talks about these 5 hindrances in the Pali Sutras, like for sensual desire, he says, sensual desire arises through attending unwisely to a sensually attractive object, and is abandoned by meditating on a foul object. And so what is the experience like when you aren't doing that? That's the way I learned even what some of these things were, especially some of the more subtle ones. So I would go to when you've abandoned this, what's the experience? And then the Buddha says, a mind free from covetousness, pure of covetousness, which for some people, just even recognizing attachment can be kind of hard. So maybe like what Venerable Jampa said, when do you know you have desire? When you're bummed out when you don't get it, or when you're disappointed when you don't get it. That was her way of recognizing it. And then ill will. Ill will arises through attending unwisely to a repugnant object and is abandoned by developing loving kindness. So then what is the mind like when you've done that? A mind free from ill will, compassionate for the welfare of all living beings. So you will feel that in your mind. You can definitely feel the difference between the two. When you're struggling with somebody, you're having ill will, and then you kind of finally get to the point of compassion. It's such a better place to be in, just for myself, but you can feel it very clearly. Those minds do not stay, cannot be in the mind. Those thoughts cannot be in the mind at the same time. Ill will and compassion are like polar opposites. And then the third one, sloth and torpor arise by submitting to boredom and laziness, and are abandoned by arousing energy, which is in itself kind of useful to think about. When you find yourself bored, where does your mind go? And when you're having any kind of laziness, where does your mind go? Well, arouse some energy. So what would it feel like? A mind free from sloth and torpor, percipient of light, mindful, and fully aware, purified of sloth and torpor. And so you know that feeling when you're feeling very kind of bright and aware, you know, that mindful, that's very different and should be cultivated. And then the restlessness and remorse. These arise through unwisely reflecting on disturbing thoughts, and are abandoned by wisely reflecting on tranquility. This verse was so helpful for me, because I could actually recognize, yep, this is very unwise reflection I'm doing here, and the Buddha did not praise this type of meditation. And then how to get rid of it? Well, reflect on tranquility. So then the mind that's free of that, what is that like? Well, because I don't think I mentioned that one of the main, in fact I completely forgot, one of the main antidotes for restlessness is to meditate on the breath and just calm the mind, or any kind of focused meditation. You could use the object of the Buddha. But for many people, I think because there's a lot of effects with the body that happen with restlessness, because there's restlessness of the mind and there's restlessness of the body, that sometimes the breath is, for some people, is quite helpful because it works and involves the body a little bit more. So what is the mind like when it has that lack of restlessness? One abides unagitated with a mind inwardly peaceful, purified of restlessness and remorse. Which kind of tells you, yeah, very much so, very peaceful, inwardly peaceful. You're not like all out there jumping thought to thought on things that are outside of you in the past and in the future. And then doubt. Doubt arises through unwisely reflecting on dubious matters. Dubious matters. That's quite important. And is abandoned by study, investigation, and inquiry. Because you're on something dubious, because you're actually going towards a wrong conclusion. You're headed towards a wrong view, and you're really on your way there. That's what makes it dubious. And so then the mind that's free of that abides, having gone beyond doubt, unperplexed about wholesome state, purified of doubt. So that's what the Buddha said about that.